Hey guys, Zen here, welcome to the channel, and you guys have been asking for a full set review, and I'm going to do one better. I'm not going to do a full set review, and I'm just going to share the cards that I think are pretty neat. So let's start things off with the Alolan Executor. This is just a cheeky card that can deal up to 150 damage or 3 energy, but you flip a coin, and if tails, nothing happens. I love flipping coins. So is it good? This is a horrible card. This is like the Moltres from Genetic Apex. If you're an OG player from set 1, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not going to stop me from playing this card though. Because imagine getting heads and just smashing your opponent's Giratina EX or Darkrai. This thing is kind of funny. Not going to be super meta though, but kind of cheeky also with that 4 retreat cost. Oh man. Next up is Decidueye EX, which you get from the Moon packs. Decidueye EX here can snipe any Pokemon on your opponent's bench in their active spot for only 2 energy, and it deals 100 damage, which is kind of nuts because the Razor Leaf does 80, right? Razor Leaf for 2 energy does 80, but Pierce the Pain does 100 only if the opponent's not active Pokemon, that Pokemon already has damage on it. So it kind of makes sense, but also it's like it does more damage, but there is a special requirement. Maybe you throw this in with something like I don't know, Greninja, and now you can just snipe it. Like you don't even need, in my head, right? You don't even need Cyrus anymore. You just get Greninja, a couple rare candies, a Decidueye, and things are going crazy. I think this is pretty solid. I think this is a really cool move. However, the requirement of needing damage, we'll see. We'll see what that does for this card. Next up is Lurantis. This is a card that only uses 1 energy here. There's a lot of grass type Pokemon that only use 1 energy for attacks. One that we're going to talk about real soon. And it deals 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So pairing this up with something like Decidueye might actually make sense. You lead with this, Decidueye comes in and just snipes everything in their backline. Pretty solid, actually. We might have to cook that up, guys. Shiinotic here works with the brand new supporter card, I believe, Mallow. And Flickering Light deals 50 damage. However, you flip a coin. If heads, the defending Pokemon can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So you can kind of like lock them out from attacking, which I think is pretty solid as well. But the card I really want to talk about is this one. Serena, 1 energy, flip 3 coins. Listen, like I already told you guys at the start of the video, I love flipping coins, and being able to dish out 150 damage for 3 coins is insane. I mean, you could hit 0, right? That is a possibility, right? This ain't Vegas, calm down. However, for 1 energy and the Mallow card, which, you know, I guess we should just talk about now since it affects this, means you get to heal all of the damage on your Shiinotic or your Serena, right? To discard the energy, but it's only requiring 1 energy. So this is kind of really strong. And Serena's HP is at 130. So how about we pair it off with another card from this set? We're bouncing around here, but we have Leaf Cape. The grass Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 30. So already there's so many synergies, okay? So let's head back to the rest of the cards in grass. Next is Wimpod. It has a cool ability that says it pretty much has no retreat cost if this is your first Pokemon. So like if you start with this, you put it in your active spot, but then you draw something you want, you could just retreat out pretty simply. But then it also evolves into this guy with first impression. If this Pokemon moved from your bench to the active spot this turn, this attack does 60 more damage. So I'd imagine maybe running this with something with a, you know, a treat cost of 1 or 0 could be pretty neat because you're dishing out 120, but it does require 3 energy. So there is that. I am a huge fan of Golisopod, and it's kind of neat that they did a grass type version instead of water. I really anticipated a water version. Then we have Decidueye EX, a Pokemon that I did not expect to see. Is this a Alolan? Is Decidueye even a Alolan? I feel like it might not be, but it might be. Anyway, Anchor Shot. 80 damage during your opponent's next turn. They can't retreat for 3 energy, and it's an EX. It is a basic though, so there is that. Maybe you pair this up with something like I don't know, the Superior from Mythical Island. Potentially, probably not though, because unless you're going second, you lead with this, you give it an energy, you give your Snivy on the bench. The second turn, you give it a second energy, you rare candy into your Superior, and now you can just start dishing out 80. You know, there's a line there. That could work. It could work. Tapu Bulu, stuck in tackle, deals 100 damage for 3 energy, flip a coin. If tails, this Pokemon also does 20 damage to itself. 100 damage for 3 energy is solid in anyone's book, really. And the effect of dealing damage back to yourself, that's only if you hit tails. Easy, just don't hit tails, guys. Next up is Incineroar EX, which is crazy, right? We're getting multiple EXs from starter Pokemon. Oh man, I can't wait to see Primarina EX. That's gonna be really cool, am I right? Anyway, so Fire Fang here is really cool because only for 1 energy, your opponent's active Pokemon are now burned. And then for 3, Scar Charge Smash does 80 plus. If this Pokemon has damage on it, this attack does 60 more damage. Pretty solid, actually. I think someone in the community kind of guessed that it would have some sort of ability like this where it would have damage and then take even more damage. So that's pretty neat. Next up is a Turtonator. A Fire Spin for 90, discard a Fire Energy from this Pokemon, which isn't bad for 90. It's like, what is it? Ninetales, but with extra steps, and a basic Pokemon with a horrible retreat. So like, take it as you will. A Alolan Sandslash during your opponent's next turn. If this Pokemon is damaged by an attack, do 40 damage to the attacking Pokemon. What? That's pretty solid. It's a little bit stronger than the, what is it called? Drud with the ability. However, it also deals damage for itself for only 1 energy and it retreats for 1. Being at the same HP, however, I think the caveat here is it is a stage 1. It's not a basic like Drud. Next is Alolan Vulpix. We saw this in the trailer. Call forth. You take an energy, water energy from your energy zone and attach it to this Pokemon. So you ramp. So by the second turn, you'll have 2 energy. You give it another energy, you'll be at 3 energy. So that way, when you go into a Alolan Ninetales, it deals 60 damage plus 20 to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. I think this is pretty solid. I honestly think this is a really neat Pokemon, right? Just the curve by turn 2 to go into this and start dishing damage onto their bench, making your Cyruses way more valuable is pretty strong in my opinion. Oh, I guess we're not getting Primarina EX. Yeah, sure, that's cool. But the ability here is kind of insane. So I think it actually does make sense during your opponent's, or no, just kidding. Once during your turn, you may heal 30 damage from each of your water Pokemon. Okay, throw in things like Irida, guys, and you're healing 70 from all of your water Pokemon plus the ones with the water energy. That's crazy. That's actually insane. And it terrifies me. Palkia and Primarina are going to go together like a peanut butter and jelly. And I think I have like 6 of them already, so we'll have to see. Crabominable EX. I love that they made this guy an EX. This is so good. 1 energy. It is a stage 1 for 160. During your next turn, this Pokemon's insatiable striking attack does 40 damage. So it's like Togekiss for 1 energy, but it only goes up to 80 damage for 1 energy. That's actually so good. It does retreat for 3. It is weak to metal, so there are those, caveats that you have to pay attention to. But again, Primarina, Irida work really well with this. It'll keep it alive, healthy for long. A cape could bring it up to 180. Honestly, this Pokemon might be it, dude. This might be your aggressive water deck type Pokemon right here. Next is a basic version of Wishiwashi. Put a random Wishiwashi or Wishiwashi EX from your deck onto your bench. Nothing too crazy here. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, Wishiwashi and Wishiwashi EX, which if we go right here, is an amazing card. It's the highest HP total for a basic Pokemon that I'm aware of, 170. However, School Storm, 30 plus. This attack does 40 more damage for each of your benched Wishiwashi and Wishiwashi EX. It kind of sounds like a meme until you remember that one old lady supporter card that says, hey, bring your basics back and put them on your bench. So let's do that math real quick. Let's say your bench is fully loaded, right? That's 40 times 3. This is 150 total damage for 3 energy. I'll say it. This is kind of busted. Okay. Next up is Araquanid. We have Araquanid with 110 here. Stage 1, Dangerous Claw, 60 plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic, meaning a basic EX like, Darkrai or Giratina, it's going to deal 120 to them. Now, this is kind of good, but the 3 energy, it's not that great. The retreat cost isn't that great either. However, this thing is going to be insanely busted because of Lana right here. If you could only use this card if you have an Araquanid in play, meaning in your active or in your bench. Okay, switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. It doesn't say your opponent chooses, which means you get to choose. Doesn't matter if they're full HP Doesn't matter if they have 10 HP. As long as you have Araquanid in play somewhere on the board, it could be in the corner all by itself. This card is going to be insane. And because of that, I am so excited to build this deck. Next up is Pyukumukumu. I can never say this name right. Innard's Art. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is knocked out by damage from an attack for your opponent's Pokemon, do 50 damage to the attacking Pokemon. Honestly, not bad, but you do have to consider you are giving up a prize point, right? So there is that. Then we have Tapu Fini here for 3 energy. It heals 20 from this Pokemon, deals 60 damage, not too bad. And then we have the card that I personally think is probably the strongest EX card from the entire set. You guys might agree, you guys might disagree, that's fine. You're wrong. I'm just kidding. Alolan Raichu EX, stage 1, 140. It is kind of weak for the 140. However, the 3 colorless energy psychic means you can slot this into any deck. And with Pokemon in the foreseeable future almost always needing a ton of energy to deal damage, like a lot of damage, Giratina, stuff like that, this Pokemon is going to be so good because Psychic just deals extra damage for the more energy, each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So I think Alolan Raichu is going to be strong this set and in the foreseeable future, to be honest. I think this is going to be a real menace, especially if we get something to increase this HP more than just 20 outside of Giant Cape. It's going to be pretty strong. Alolan Golem, 150 damage. However, you discard 2 lightning from this Pokemon. There's no real ramp for it. So like, I don't know. I don't think it's great. It's going to be fun. It's not great though. Vikavolt, however, is my type of effect. For 2 lightning energy, disconnect 70 damage. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. And in a meta that I assume is going to be running rampant with rare candy, you're going to catch a lot of people missing a stage 1 Pokemon line from their deck. And if you hit them with this Vikavolt, and this is why I really think Vikavolt's going to be so good, you're just knocking out their basic Pokemons. They can never evolve. So like you're going to have to put at least 1 stage 1 moving forward in your deck because you have to respect the fact that Vikavolt exists. You can't just go Charmander straight to Charizard. You have to have at least 1 Charmeleon in your deck because Vikavolt exists. You just have to respect this guy. And I can't wait to catch people off guard with him. What can I say? Next is Oricorio. We have Safeguard, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent. I expected Mimikyu to have this ability. This is an S tier ability. No, I'm just kidding. It's a really strong ability, guys. Safeguard. Right. And because of that, that's why it has 2 energy to 50, 70 HP. It's pretty good, but it's only for this Pokemon, not the rest of your Pokemon. Next up is Togedemaru. 1 energy, flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 30 more damage. So 20 to 30, 50 plus with your Sophocles or however, I don't know how to say his name. The guy with the red hair and electric Pokemon, the supporter card, you can deal up to 80 damage turn 1 if you flip heads and if you're a gambler. Then we have Tapu Koko, Volt Switch 70. Switch this Pokemon with one of your benched lightning Pokemon. Oh, this is going to be, I mean, who would you switch in though? That's a lot of like 70 and then switch out. 70 and then switch out could be kind of cheeky, you know? Oh man. Sableye, corner during your opponent's next turn. They can't retreat for 2 energy. It is a basic Pokemon. I don't think it's going to be that great. I mean, could you imagine if they only put this as 1 energy? That'd be so toxic. Spoink is worth mentioning because it's a basic Pokemon that ramps itself. Side charge, take a psychic energy from your energy zone and attach it to this Pokemon. Now, remember the term energy zone because there's another card in this set that we're going to talk about that is, we'll get to it when we get to it. Anyway, if you ramp with your Spoink on curve, you could just hit Zen Headbutt for 70. Grumpig, 110, not too bad. It's only 1 prize card point. And this is that Pokemon that I wanted to talk about real quick. Banette. This Pokemon is a stage 1, 90 HP, nothing too crazy, but however, for 1 energy, 1 psychic energy, it can do Night Bind, 30 damage. However, during your opponent's next turn, they can't take any energy from their energy zone to attach to their active Pokemon. Okay. They can attach it to their bench, but their active Pokemon is pretty much just a punching bag if it's not online already and it has enough energy to attack. I think running Banette with something like TRG is just Again, peanut butter and jelly. This thing is going to be so good. They can ramp their bench though, so you have to be mindful of that. Or this Oricorio Dazzle Dance, 40 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. And another Oricorio, 70 HP. Spiteful Dance, 20 plus. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage, we saw this in the trailer. It gets an extra 60. That's pretty solid for only 1 energy. And then we have Comfey here, which I think is going to be so good because of a new tool card that has been added to the game. Each of your Pokemon that has any psychic energy attached recovers from all special conditions, and they can't be affected by any special conditions. I'm talking about Poison Barb. This thing, I know we're just breaking the sequence of cards we're going over, is so dumb. If your Pokemon this card is attached to is your active Pokemon and it's damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, the attacking Pokemon is now poisoned. So in order to combat that, I think Comfey is going to be pretty good. This Mimikyu can snipe one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. This attack also does 20 damage to one of your... Just kidding. I can't read. Can't read, guys. Mimikyu does 20 damage to one of your Pokemon. Does not snipe, snipes you. Tapu Lele for 1 energy does energy arrow. This attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Got that right this time. For each energy attached. Oh, this is so good actually. If your opponent is ramping up something on their bench, 3 energy, this is dealing 60 to it for only 1. This is pretty solid. Next up, we have the new sets, Grapple Locked. You know that guy from set 1. Hariyama here does push out 50 damage, and it pretty much forces your opponent to switch out their active with their bench. They get to choose which one they want to switch back in. Is there no Excadrill? Conkeldurr. I'm so sad I didn't pull this. I love this Pokemon. If this Pokemon would be knocked out by damage from an attack, flip a coin. If heads, this Pokemon is not knocked out and its remaining HP becomes 10. So like if they were going to one-shot you and potentially win the game, they can't with the flip of a coin. This is pretty sick right here. I think Rockruff might have potential to be meta because of its attack Signs of Evolution, where you thin your deck by putting a random card that evolves from Rockruff into your hand from your deck. So this, if you have a rare candy, you use this move, you're kind of cooking, aren't you? Except it's a stage 1, right? You don't need that. Just kidding. I don't know why I thought this was a stage 2. Lycanroc 100 HP. Oh man. Crunch, 80 damage, flip a coin. If heads, discard a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. It's okay. It's not crazy. Let's see what the other one does though. The Nighttime Lycanroc for 1 less energy, Bloodfang, 50 plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon has more remaining HP than this Pokemon, this attack does 50 more damage. That's pretty solid actually, right? Then we have Mudsdale here. This Pokemon also does 40 damage to itself. Okay. It's not great. Honestly, a lot of lackluster cards in fighting, be honest. Rockruff, I thought had potential, and then I saw its evolutions, and I'm like, maybe not. Hariyama's probably the best in fighting so far. Second would be Conkeldurr. But we do have 2 other cards. Let's talk about Minior real quick. This attack does 40 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for 2 energy. Again, not too great. And then let's talk about Decidueye EX, which might be fighting's best hope at ramp, right? It's not really ramp. It has offload pass, where if you give this guy 2 energy and it gets knocked out from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, then you get to move all the fighting energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon, which is good. It means you can get something like a Tyranitar or a Rhyperior online rather quickly. And this is a basic Pokemon, right? The issue is you're giving up 2 prize points to do this. So I don't know. Am I going to test it out? Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe this is actually busted, right? But I don't know. It just doesn't feel it's beggars can't be choosers. Fighting has been wanting ramp. This is like we have ramp at home almost. So like we're doing our best here. Decidueye EX, I appreciate you, bud. Next up is Alolan Raticate. For 2 darkness energy, we get to discard a random item card from your opponent's hand. Then we have Alolan Persian. This Pokemon takes minus 20 damage from attacks. It's not too bad actually for stage 1 that does this much damage. But honestly, the card that I really want to talk about today is Alolan Muk EX. This thing is so silly. 3 energy. Oh, please tell me there's some sort of ramp for darkness to make this even better. Essentially what it says is we deal 80 damage and then we give a random status affliction amongst sleep, burn, confused, paralyzed, and poison to our opponent's active Pokemon. And if they already have a status affliction, like for example, if they're poisoned and we use it again, they can't get poisoned again, right? So they can get burned. So they can get poisoned, burned, put to sleep, paralyzed, or they can get the best version would be Poison, Burn, Confused, and then Paralyzed. This thing would be crazy, but also that means they're taking like 320 damage at that point. That's not going to happen. Next up is Absol. If your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by a special condition, Poison Barb, right? Poison Barb Absol is going to be a thing. This attack does 60 more damage. That's pretty solid. Toxapex here is pretty toxic because for only 1 darkness energy, you flip 4 coins and it does 20 damage for each head. So for 1 energy, you could deal up to 80 damage. Alolan Dugtrio is pretty strong. Flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 70 damage for each heads. It's only 2 energy. You guys, that's pretty strong. Excadrill is a stage 1 that deals 50 for only 1 metal energy. That's worth noting. Klefki in this set draws you a card. Nothing too crazy there, but it does thin your deck. Solgaleo EX, we've already talked about this. Fortunately, didn't pull any today, but the Rising Road, I think, is going to be a pretty strong ability, and the Soul Breaker dealing a 120 damage for only 2 energy is going to be pretty strong too. I think Drampa, though, is honestly get slept on. Also, it's day 1, so I take that with a grain of salt. But like Drampa, when I say is slept on, is a Pokemon that not a lot of people think about. Like it's Drampa, right? This is a silly guy, but they gave it a really good effect here. For 2 colorless energy, it's a dragon type, meaning it has no weakness. But for 2 colorless energy, if any of your bench Pokemon have any damage on them, this attack does 50 more damage. So you're dealing 70 for 2 energy, which I don't think is bad for a Pokemon that has 0 weakness. I think this is pretty solid. And we have another dragon, Pokemon Komodo, Clanging Scales, 130 damage for a lightning and a fighting energy. Lightning, well, you can ramp Magneton, right? And you could potentially dawn into this and run nothing but fighting types. But anyway, maybe you don't do that. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes plus 30 damage from attacks. Wait a second, that kind of sounds horrible. So I take more damage? Just kidding, guys. If that's how this card works, I don't think you play Komodo. Yeah, no, I don't want to take more damage. What? Next up, we have another Tauros, and I'm possibly could like comfortably say this might be the worst Tauros ever, because for 3 energy, 50% of the time you're doing 50 damage, 50% of the time you're doing 100 damage. I don't think that's great. I'll say it. You're all thinking it. I don't think this is great. However, what I do think is great is this Delcatty right here that has energy assist, which deals 30 damage, but also takes a colorless energy from your energy zone and attaches it to one of your bench Pokemon. We've never had that before where you can use colorless energy in the game. So this is going to be the first for that. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really strong ramp card for sure. We got Hawlucha here. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a darkness Pokemon, it deals an extra 30 damage, making it 50. We got Beware here that deals 130. However, it's confused afterwards. Honestly, you'd probably run something like the Ilima card with this, or maybe even a Lumberry. So that way you're not confused and you can just keep hitting them for 130 back to back. Oranguru seems like a pretty neat card because this has a 2 cost energy for Primate's Trap, 40 damage. During your opponent's next turn, attacks used by the defending Pokemon cost 1 more, and their retreat cost is 1 more as well. So this is the first time we're getting this type of effect in the game, and I think it's going to be pretty neat, especially going into control decks. It's a colorless card, so if you're building a control deck for any type, I think this Oranguru might at least deserve 1 spot in that deck. And then we have Komala here. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, whenever you attach an energy from your energy zone, it's now asleep. All right, I'm a little confused here. Is this good or bad? As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, whenever you attach an energy card from your energy zone, it is now asleep. So is it just my Pokemon, or is this saying that like my opponent as well? Copium a little bit, maybe Comatose Copium. I'm hoping that if my opponent attaches an energy, they're also asleep. I don't think that's how it works. I think this card just kind of sucks, to be honest. We'll see. All right, now we're in the item section. A big Malasada. I don't know if this is a donut or miniature hot dog. I honestly have no idea what's happening here, but I think this might be kind of meta, especially with the Poison Barb and the other status afflictions. Heal 10 and remove a random special status condition from your active Pokemon. Also a Alolan Muk. If that becomes meta, it's kind of, yeah, this might be good. Fishing Net could be very helpful. Put a random basic water Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand. Rare Candy. I don't think we need to talk about that. We've talked about it enough on this channel. You know how I feel. This thing's insane. Rotom Dex, I think there's going to be points in the game where this is actually a good card. Hopefully we find those points. Poison Barb, silly card. This thing is going to be so annoying. Everybody's poisoned. You're poisoned. I'm poisoned. We're all poisoned. Leaf Cape. So we had Giant Cape, and then we had Leaf Cape that gives specifically grass Pokemon an additional 10 HP. I wonder if we're gonna get something like Aquatic Cape or Flame Cape. Can you imagine putting that on? It's a little hot in here. Then we have Acerola here, which I didn't pick up any. Choose one of your Pokemon, Mimikyu or Palossand. I think this could be kind of good, especially if you have another Mimikyu on bench and you're using Mimikyu's attack to attack the opponent and then dish the damage onto your bench. You could just move that damage and put it onto your opponent's active Pokemon. So that could be good. It's a very a specific case scenario. I don't think it's that great. Ilima, I think this is an insane card, not because I got a full art for it, yes, but because put one of your colorless Pokemon that has damage on it into your hand. It's just a free bounce. Are you serious? Rayquaza, hello? And this thing's gonna be crazy. I think Kiyoe is really good as well, which brings me back to the fact that we didn't talk about it, the Alolan Marowak. It's an amazing card. It does crazy things. Flip 3 coins, 2 it does an additional, what is it, if you flip all 3 or 2 you do an additional 70, but if you miss 1 or something your opponent's active Pokemon still burn. Very good card. I skipped it because it was in the trailer, but this helps you ramp to get that quicker. Take 2 energy, fire energy from your energy zone and attach it to that Pokemon however your turn ends so you can attack with it. I think it's pretty good. Guzma here could be pretty neat and helpful. It really depends. If we're going to be going into a poison barb meta, then I think Guzma might actually be a really good card. But as of right now, discard all Pokemon tools cards attached to each of your opponent's Pokemon. I think this is something you hold off until turn 3 or 4. Let your opponent put their Rocky helmets, their capes and everything. Pretty much they want to waste their entire hand because they're afraid you're going to red card them or Mars them, because we are in the rare candy meta and Mars and red card are just going to be, this is the economy for them. So I think Guzma might actually be helpful in that scenario. And then the card that I'm so excited to test out, Lana right here. You can use this card only if you have an Araquanid. I think we already talked about it. Switch in one of your opponent's Pokemon. This thing's busted. Like this is control on crack, right? But you need Araquanid on your bench or in the active spot. This guy, Sophocles, yeah, Vikavoult's probably the only reason you would use this, because Vikavoult's the best out of all 3, honest opinion. Mallow's busted for Serena, 1 energy, dealing up to potentially 150 with the cape. We already talked about this. Mallow's pretty good too. Lily, outstanding. If you haven't seen the immersive fully, it is the most beautiful card. I genuinely think it's one of my favorites. It's right up there with the Charizard immersive. It is a beautiful immersive card, but also the effect's really cool too. And there you guys have it. That's pretty much reviewing every single card in the set. Also, little spoiler, we're getting shinies in this set, and they're shinies from the older, they're Pokemon from the older set. I already pulled a Machamp EX here, which is pretty neat. These are the 2 crowns. Wigglytuff. They're giving us this Wigglytuff. But there you guys have it. Let me know what you guys think of my set review. I try to do this for every single set. There's going to be other videos uploaded on the channel, like which pack should you open if you're trying to prioritize what pack to open. I'm assuming you guys already opened all your packs, so maybe watch that video for tomorrow to figure out, ooh, what should I use my packs to focus on from then on. But there you guys have it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.